Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Aiken County Historical Museum's Digital Outreach Series. Today we're going to give you a tour of the Banksia exhibit, which is located on the second floor of the museum. So Banksia refers to the actual building that the museum resides in, and that building has been many things. It's been a private home to 4 different families. It has been a boarding house for Savannah Riverside employees. It has been the campuses of 2 colleges, Southern Methodist College and the first campus for University of South Carolina, Aiken. It has also been the Aiken County Public Library, and of course finally now houses the Aiken County Historical Museum. So Adam Gibson was the first owner of this land here at the corner of South Boundary and Newberry. While we don't have a picture of his house, this is a picture from the 1890s of the house later on with many additions. And so you can see here the family kind of hanging out front, and they are actually, it's hard to tell here, but they are playing a game of tennis. So kind of cool to know that they were having some fun out here on the site. So the Harrington House is what existed here in this photograph. It was owned by Charles C. Harrington and his family. They sold the house to Richard Howell in 1931. Richard Howell took this house, picked it up because it was where basically the U-shaped driveway is today, moved it to the back of the property, put it on top of his new 3-car garage, and then added 14,000 square feet to it. So that's a little bit easier to see when we go down here to this drone image. You can see on the top right corner the Harrington House, and then you see the 14,000 square feet that was added by Richard Howell, and Willis Irvin was his architect in the 1930s. So I've moved us around to another panel area, and here you can see the history on the early families. So we've got write-ups on Adam Gibson and his family when they first built the first structure here, the Townsend family who next lived here, and finally the Harrington family who lived here before it was sold to Richard Howell in 1931. We do know that Adam Gibson, who was a Charleston merchant, came here during the Civil War, and we know that because here are his tax ledgers during the Civil War, and you can also see here where he's listed on the far right the number of slaves at home, 9. So he lived here with slaves on the property. Then we go into the Howe era, and a little bit of information about him and how it passed on to his son William Deering Howe, who's on the left here. And a little bit more about the Howe family, because we were not their primary residence. We were a secondary residence for the family. I've now moved over to another part of the exhibit where we show you the architectural plans, which we're lucky enough to have in our collection. Here's an architectural plan for the den, which is located on the main floor and now houses the Winter Colony exhibit. We're also lucky enough to have photographs from the 1930s of how the house looked when the family lived here. And we're even more lucky to have photographs of how that same den was used by the Southern Methodist College in the 1950s. So it's great to have such internal archives about the institution that we call home. I've now moved over to the exposed wallpaper, and we were so happy to find this under layers and layers and layers of paint in the Banksia room. But we believe it's the original wallpaper to 1931 when this part of the house was built by the Howe family. And you can see the beautiful hydrangea, dragonflies, and lilies that are represented in the wallpaper's floral theme. When you visit this exhibit, you can also see a restored restroom in the exhibit and some information about the Howe family and their travels, and also their horse stables too that they would have had in New York. And with that, we conclude our tour, and we hope that you take a day once we're open to come explore this lovely exhibit and learn about the history of the building that houses the museum.